doing it, Nicole, because that's the way you open up a meeting with the gavel. And it's nice to see you, Alma.
Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. You never have to say sorry in Toastmasters. In any event, it's my great privilege and pleasure to welcome you to today's Toastmaster meeting. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. Happy New Year! Now, who is this nutcase on July the 12th wishing you all a Happy New Year? Well, it's moi, Teresa, because Toastmasters started their new year as of July. And Toastmaster term runs from July until June of the next year. Now, why does that make a difference? Any ideas? Because we have a new executive committee that was voted in at our annual general meeting. And they actually assume their duties as of the 1st of July. So you can be keeping track of them. I'm afraid our president is not here today, which is why I'm acting in her stead as your educational vice president. So what do you think about when you think of New Year's? I think of resolutions. I think of things I'm not going to do. Maybe I'm not going to smoke so much. Or maybe I'm not going to eat so much. But one thing I'm not going to do is stop talking and stop being active and involved in Toastmasters. So along with the New Year's and the accompanying resolutions, I would love to see some of you in this room making your own resolutions as to what you would accomplish from June up, from July to June of this year. Now, we have a Table Topics winner at our last online meeting. Isn't she perfect? So, since it was online, we could not give it to you. Toastmaster Alma, you walled it with your story about the language and other things. So please come over here and let me You're wearing one of my favorite colors.
Yes, this is
I don't have another ribbon for that. In any event, well deserved.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You know, one of the things we do here in Toastmasters, along with our applauding, is we recognize things. We recognize people that do good things, that do extraordinary things. So, Alma, congratulations. Was that the first time you won that?
I think so, yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, I am obliged to remind you that there is a Toastmasters convention going on. It's happening this year in the US, in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's going to be the first hybrid convention. So, my friends, I don't know if you have the inclination. You're certainly, well, probably not going to want to travel to Nashville, unless you want to see Elvis. But it is going to be also conducted online. For information about the convention, which is going to be running from the 17th of August until the 20th of August, check it out at www.toastmasters.org. It's on their front page. Now, I did have a look at this, and you actually can attend for free for parts of it, but if you want to have the full package and the international speeches and the educational sessions, there is a charge. And as I looked last time, it was a little bit under $50 US. I don't think anybody, have you been to one, Ines? Mm-hmm. No, I don't think anybody has ever been to one of the conventions, but now in this day and age with Zoom, why not? You don't have to splurge and take the package. You can just sit in and observe. I think it's well worth trying out. So, what else do I have to tell you? I want to remind you that one of the first things the executive committee did in our last meeting was decide that we would keep to our frequency of the first meeting of the month, the second Tuesday of the month as an in-person meeting, and the fourth Tuesday of the month as an online meeting. Of course, this is subject to change, but at present, I always want you to remember 2nd and 4. 2nd and 4. This is the second Tuesday we're in person. The next meeting will be online. So, and with that, I'd like to introduce you. Oh, not with that. First of all, I'd like to say, and I'm looking at you specifically, we have a Toastmaster who is going to be giving her very first speech today, the icebreaker. So I somehow want to call you out and remind you and remind everybody in this room that feeling we had when we gave that very first speech. But just that you know, Tatiana, we're all rooting for you. We're in your corner. Those of us who have done it before, we know how you feel, or we can sense how you feel, and just know we're behind you. And with that, I turn over to our Toastmaster of the day, who usually keeps a pretty low profile, except in her table topics, where she wows us with her sense of humor and her chatty style. But you might not know that Rena is also our Sergeant at Arms. And she's the person who basically makes sure our room is in good order. We have all the things we need to conduct the meeting, the ballots, the agenda, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it's behind the scenes. Business means that we don't appreciate it. Oh, we don't see it. Ah, ha, ha, she's too modest. Don't see its value. I do. And thank you, Ines. You see, I'm so flustered being late. I forgot to acknowledge our guests, and I think it's only one person. No, it's two. It's two. First of all, why don't I introduce somebody who already joined us last time around, and that happens to be Joe. Would you like to introduce yourself again to the group?
Yeah, sure. Nice to meet everyone here. I don't think it seems to be a different group, more or less, 50-50 compared to last time. So thank you for having me back. It's nice to actually be here in person and see how a meeting takes place in person. I might be sharing some of the grammarian duties, perhaps. Today, I'll certainly try and shadow and be involved that way, and otherwise looking forward to the meeting.
You were one of the first people to sign up on Easy Speak, and you also indicated to me, although you're not yet a member, you wanted to give a speech. Now, I like that kind of enthusiasm. Did you sign the guest book?
No, I didn't.
No, we have to get you to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I like that particular approach. So, the second person who is new to me that I'd like to introduce, would you please tell us who you are? And I'm curious, how did you find out about Toastmasters?
Okay, so my name is Adeomi Lewis, and I've always wanted to join a Toastmasters group, but it's either too far away, or something would go wrong. So I never really joined, and so when I found out on the website, VIC clubs, that there's a Toastmasters group here, it's like I found a treasure. And I just had to climb upstairs and come into this meeting, and that's how I found everyone. So,
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad
Thank
to
you. Can you tell me again how to pronounce your first name?
Adeomi, the best you can do.
Adeomi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you will find this a very worthwhile experience and a very interesting group of ladies. Bring a man to the meeting. Bring a man to the meeting.
We had so many in the past, they all disappeared.
They all disappeared.
Maybe we've frightened them,
No, I think, can I be at least, again, I'm sharing my own personal opinion here. I think many men think that they're too good, and they don't really need it. I already can speak in public. And one example of an exceptional man who we unfortunately lost was Tristan, a former president, who was the director of budget and finance. And he did not think he was too good or too slick or too smooth, and he contributed quite a lot to this club. I miss him desperately. So ladies, see what you can turn up. Maybe we ought to have a Toastmaster meeting where we say, recruit a colleague and bring them along. But let's get moving with the meeting. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to our Toastmaster of the day. That's Toastmaster Rena.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guest. It's my honor to be the Toastmaster of the day today. And here in the program here, we have finally got a ballot counter that has been up, if you want to complete it. And then table topics master will be my dear Teresa, because ASL is not here. These are the two changes from the program. And with this, and we haven't, well, more or less in a normal meeting, one prepared speech. There was a second person who was ready to give a speech, but she got sick, so she cancelled. That's the last minute. That is Ria. So she said she cannot come, so therefore we have only one prepared speech and table topics. I put certain things on the table. The newcomers, please come and help yourself. Also some magnets, because it is stuck in the box and nobody takes it, and maybe you can give to someone or promote our club or invite others to come, whatever. It's a magnet for your office. Please help yourself. That is one thing. Okay. Without any further ado, I would like to give the handover the general evaluator who will introduce me for a smooth running of this meeting. So, general evaluator, Toastmaster Ines.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster today, Toastmasterina. And Toastmasters and guests, we have our winning team today, an A team. We need to evaluate the meeting. The role of a general evaluator is to evaluate almost everything, but also to share the responsibility and to share the tasks. I will lead the evaluation session, and afterwards I will give also a brief overview of what my observations were or the evaluations, without making any judgments. Because I think it's important in a meeting like this that we have a safe environment for everybody. You can say whatever you want, in your own way, in your own right, and we are listening and being very observant what you share with us. So, to go back to our team, the grammarian. I see or heard today that we have a shared role with the grammarian. Toastmaster Adriana, you were leading the grammarian team. Could you please tell us your role and also the word of the day?
Of course, yeah. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. The grammarian team, there is a grammarian team today. It's me and Joe. I have done it once before, but I don't feel super comfortable in it, so anything I miss, please do let me know. There is 3 main tasks that grammarian has to fulfill during that entire meeting. The first is to observe and comment on good, excellent, or not so good use of grammar. Second is to introduce the word of the day. And third is to give a grammarian crown to somebody that exceeded expectations during the meeting. I have come up with a word of the day, and the word is eccentric. Eccentric usually describes a person or a thing that is slightly different from conventional or accepted behavior or usage, and it kind of is in an odd, strange way. So, for example, if somebody could say, wearing a super bright outfit to work is a bit eccentric. Let's say if we worked in a very serious environment. So I think most of you hopefully know the word, but I really like the word, so I'm going to put it right here. Apparently you're supposed to. And I can see it.
Maybe we can put it on the whiteboard back there.
Yeah, right here.
Or on the flip chart.
We have the magnet.
The magnet is there, so many magnets on the door.
See, I think
No.
I promise I prepared this for you.
Thank you so much.
Will you see
Yeah.
it?
It's really
Yeah.
evident.
There are so many magnets. Yes, very visible.
That's honor.
Just wanted to ask, have I missed anything, or if you wanted to add anything, please go
Oh,
ahead.
no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster Adriana, one question is, do we need an X somewhere in eccentric? No? Square? Super, okay. Thank you very much. We all have a little bit of eccentricity in us, and that makes us also special. Thank you for the word. Then, the second person was in the team who will help us to evaluate also the proceedings. That's the timekeeper. The timekeeper. Toastmaster Alma, could you give us an idea of what your role is?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the day. My role today is as timekeeper. Timekeeper makes sure that all speeches are within the set time frame. Today we have one speech that should be between 4 and 6 minutes. In 4 minutes I will show the green card, in the 5 minutes the yellow, and on 6 minutes and anything above 6 minutes will be red card. And of course in the feedback, I think also in the table topics we will have 1 to 2 minutes, so you would have to speak at least 1 minute and maximum 2 minutes in impromptu speeches. And evaluator speech is between 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, and at the end I will report, at the end of the meeting I will report on everyone's times and how did we do. Thank you.
Very much, Toastmaster Alma. You see, this will help us also to organize ourselves. And you need it in any meeting, in our daily life, in work, you just name it. The next Toastmaster, who also has a role, is the
It's me.
Toastmaster.
So, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, my role today consists of counting the ahs and ms, all these gap fillers, or the overuse of certain words like or but, or like, you know, people tend to repeat like all the time. So I will be counting these words. At the end of the day, I will present my report, and usually we charge 10 cents for each gap filler, but there's a maximum of €1, and we don't always take it so serious. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster. And the last person we'll have is Toastmaster Pinar for telecom.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Good afternoon, dear members and dear guests. My role is today ballot counter. I will collect the votes of table topic session ballot, and then I will announce the winner after evaluation session. So, thank you.
For the speeches, we will have a separate evaluator, and before moving to that, I would like to hand over control of the meeting back to Toastmaster Rina, the Toastmaster of the day.
It's my honor to introduce our first speaker, Tatiana. I feel ashamed because Tatiana was already scientific in pathways, which I haven't done. She selected the pathway presentation mastery. Before I invite her, I would like that evaluator, Lily, reads the objectives of her speech. Evaluator Toastmaster Lily.
As Rena already said, it's presentation mastery number one, icebreaker. Deliver a speech on any topic as an introduction to the club using any style that appeals. And Tatiana asked me to look at everything. You know, sometimes when you have an evaluation, you can request your evaluator to look at something specific if you're really working on something specific. But we come to Toastmasters like newborns. Just as we start a new year, Tatiana is starting her new life as a Toastmaster in her position, making her first speech in Pathways. The purpose of the project is for the member, for Tatiana, to introduce herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech, however she sees fit. That's it.
The title of the Tatiana speech is Who Am I? Tatiana, who am I? And I think we all can expect an eccentric speech. Toastmaster Tatiana.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Exactly. Being born as a Toastmaster now for 1 year of being in the womb, I had to go through the plentiness of materials of the Toastmaster platform. And thanks to Maria Teresa, I also had the chance to go through additional guidance, which is bringing me to today's speech with a bit of an unusual approach. Yes, I would like you to know more about me, but I also would like to know about myself more. That's why the title is to look at who exactly am I. And we always go to speeches with this internal hustle and trembling because we are exposing ourselves. And this is what I'm always trying to hide. Who am I? And public speaking gives us a chance to actually overcome and approach that line where you are there and you are who you are. So who am I? Working at the UN, we are always asking each other at the first meeting, where are you coming from? I found myself always in a difficult position to answer that question because being born in Belarus, I'm Ukrainian by blood, and I grew up in Russia. And that was not such a big issue for me until maybe 2014. Then it became a bit darker to try to explain where I see myself and who exactly I am, how to make others think about me and what to expect, maybe. But the way I have to speak about myself now, it's even more difficult. So, I have to find peace. Peace in communicating about my background and who I am. And first of all, I should find this peace inside. Inside my mind, I should value what my motherland gave me, what my fatherland gave me, and this is the way I approach Ukraine and Russia. And to overcome this communication deficiency now with different people who see differently in the situation now, I am trying to calm myself because it starts from me. I have to use this mask to have oxygen, to breathe. That's why I have to meditate and to overcome all those questions in my head before I go and expose myself to others. And yes, there are those others. And those are my family and friends. So I don't only communicate with myself inside of me, but I'm also going to other people with whom I always felt a big family of myself. I take my friends as a family, as my real family. And I really see the difference in how you talk to your parents. And in this situation, we are losing some ties with our parents, myself, because they can have different opinions. They are just across the border, but they have some reasons to think differently. And you still have to communicate with them. There are kids, my own kids, whom I always speak in Russian to, and think in Ukrainian too, because exactly I don't speak very good Ukrainian. I really fully understand it, but I don't know it. As a professional, I never learned it. For me, it's
it's very important to give a message, a positive message to that group as well. And of course, there are friends. Some of them don't want to talk anymore. Some of them expressed the feeling of solitude, solidarity, and support from the very beginning, taking the step, which I really appreciate. So this is the second level. First, I have to have this communication in my head, then with my circle. And then there is a third circle, which I really think the communication should go on from my friend circle, from my inside circle. These are the people in the world. Thank you for being there. I'm very happy that we have not only Russians and Ukrainians and Belarusians and others, we have many nationalities. And actually we should not feel like we are only the ones representing our background or our nationality. We are here as human beings. We are here to share our common goals, our common values, and to support each other. And this is particularly important for me now, when the conflict and the situation in the world has changed so drastically. So I remember the cold nights, mornings in Siberia, when I, as a little kid, goes through a forest. Minus 40. 42, minus 42 was the reason not to go to school. And I remember this high sky and darkness, and this coldness and stillness. And you think that everything is dead, but no, the life is there, people are there, and we are all going somewhere, and we enjoy this frosty morning. And I remember that beautiful, dark, very low, dark skies of Ukrainian steppes with a lot of stars. And that's why you feel like you are not alone, like there's so much there and you are part of it. So we decide what we see when you look around. And being a human being, I choose to communicate life. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tatiana. That speech was a lot more than an assembly speech. 1 minute for the evaluation for Tatiana. When you evaluate, I can tell you one incident what happened to me in the elevator of Cambridge. I am working in the agency 30 years. So a lot of things happens within the 30 years. And there was, a long time ago, there was an explosion caused by some Sikh nationalists in India. So I was in the lift, I was talking to a Sikh person. You can identify him with a turban. He's still working here, and what is his name? I was talking to him. And then all of a sudden somebody else told me, he's your enemy. He said, why in the world he's my enemy? I mean, we are working together in the same organization. Why in the world he's my enemy? He's not my enemy. I treat him as my friend. We are all Indians, we are all human. So, one small explosion within India caused by some extreme group. These extreme groups exist all over the world. I mean, it is not just one side, it exists all over the world. And I don't even remember how many people got hurt or whatever. But no one has the right to tell me that person standing across the court, across the sun, he's my enemy. I was really a little bit taken by that kind of comments. I mean, so one should be very careful what you say, reading a newspaper and what you say. I mean,
1 minute is past, so.
1 minute is over. Okay. So please.
Yeah.
What shall I say? I don't know what to say, but we have to believe in humanity. That is what I think. Maybe. With this, I invite Teresa, our deputy master, who was ready to do that job at the last minute. So please, Maria Teresa, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rita. Wow. Wow. Yes, please.
Sorry, I have a point of order since I arrived a bit late. Are you replacing Ishan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm afraid I'm not as good looking. And I'm also female. In any event, at least I think I am. In any event, Tatiana, I showed Rita, I had goosebumps on my arm. I have never seen an icebreaker. I shouldn't do this, you get an evaluation. But I am just so moved and so impressed at the caliber and the depth. Unbelievable. And the honesty. But that's not my job. I'm supposed to be leading you through the table topics. Now, I looked up on Toastmasters International where the table topics come from. And guess what? I didn't get an answer. But there's several people who like to speculate where it comes from. Maybe it's the idea of people sitting around a breakfast table, or maybe having dinner in the dining room, sitting around a table, and they're basically talking about current events or things going on in people's lives. I don't know, maybe we could make up something else. But basically the point of a table topic session is to give the people who don't have major roles in a Toastmaster meeting the opportunity to speak. And since the most of you in this room have pretty major roles, you're exempt. But if I feel that we have the need to extend the session, I might call on you. But one person who's not exempt is, even though you're ballot counter, but you just have to basically just announce the winner. Pinar, I ask you the first question. Pinar, how many hours a week do you spend online?
You want to go to the front so I can film you? Or just turn around?
Nowadays, I'm trying to be honest, I'm trying to monitor how many hours I'm online. Of course, I use social media, and also I use the internet for my job. And it means 3 days a week I work as a part-time nowadays, so 3 days a week I can say I'm online. Anyone can reach me 3 days a week, but I'm spending lots of time also of course, I have 2 kids, it is really challenging to make time myself, but sometimes when I try to focus on them, but sometimes I found myself, oh my gosh, when I'm playing my kids, same time I can use my phone side back. I'm trying to cut it. It is kind of bad habit for me. So I can say 24 hours a week I am online. So it is really tricky question for me, because nowadays I'm trying to set some new habit for me, and that's all I think.
The time is over.
I know you as a computer person, at least in the course of your working life, but we did find out a lot about you on the side with your private life. And I know you have a new baby, so I'm sure you're also quite taken up with that. So the other person who doesn't have a role in today's meeting, who is a suitable candidate for a table topic, is Nicole. So, Nicole, when was your first impression of someone wrong? When was your first impression of someone wrong?
I'm sure I understand the question.
Well, let's say you were introduced to somebody and you thought, oh, this person isn't very bright, or this person, we don't have anything in common, or you made up your mind about somebody really before you got to know them. And then once you got to know them, you realized they weren't the person that you had thought there. Would you like another question?
No, I understand it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Certainly.
Before I start, do I have to go over there?
No, I can get you from there.
First impression. I remember, Maria Teresa, that you always say there is only one occasion to make a first impression. There's only one.
You only get a first chance to make you don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And I think this is valid for everybody, including for me. And Toastmasters taught me to be very careful when you meet somebody for the first time, because the person will have, no matter how tolerant the person is, you always have a first impression. It might not be your last impression, your last opinion, but it's always your first impression, and that counts. And I remember I had one of those first impression, I suppose when I was a kid, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's too long ago, right? But I remember a few years ago I had a first impression with our ambassador. He's not here anymore, so it's okay. I can talk about it. And I thought, why on earth is he an ambassador? First, the way he dressed. He was not eccentric. He was just badly dressed. And then I kept thinking to myself, Toastmaster, he should come to Toastmaster. He couldn't speak. He had to speak in public, and it was full of fitting words and repeated sentences. And I thought, one of these days I'm going to go to him and say, I'm going to introduce you to our club, because, well, I couldn't, of course, he was the ambassador. But then I got to know him better, and he was, of course, a very learned man. He was a very learned man, very intelligent man when you talk to him face to face. But basically, I suppose he had a problem to speak in public. The problem is, especially when you're an ambassador, is that is the first impression that you make in front of the public, and it's a bad impression. So you see, Toastmasters.
Our former Vice President for Public Relations, I couldn't have said it better. In any event, I think that sometimes we do have a tendency to judge a book by its cover. So we ought to give a person a second chance, or a third chance, or a fourth chance. I'm eccentric, I give them 50. So, Monica, you have a role today as the art counter, but I haven't seen you for so long, and I've missed you. And you always give such good table topic answers. So you're my next candidate for a question. What was the last thing that made you laugh out loud? What was the last? You take a few seconds to compose.
Yes,
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, for Monica, what was the last thing that made you laugh out loud?
There are so many things that have recently made me laugh. I don't know how loud, but I have simply laughed. One last thing that made me laugh was the restructuring that we have in UNIDA. It's just, I don't want to sound ironic or anything, but it's just that after, sarcastic, yes, after being for a certain time with an organization, you see so many changes, all the time there are changes, but especially if you get a new director general, then their will gets reinvented, and then we start all over again. Divisions get a different name, and people are moving here and there, and then the next one comes and changes again to the other side, and it puts another name. I don't know, sometimes perhaps the changes make sense. I probably don't know or don't have the whole picture, but after a time I just laugh, because I see that all the management wants to I don't know, put a seal, yeah, this is me, this is the way I do it. And I don't know if this is human or not. We all want to give the impression that we are the best, more efficient, or whatever. Perhaps it makes sense, but it makes me laugh. Thank you.
I've had the same experience working in the UN over 30 years. I saw many things come and go, and sometimes I thought people were changing, not to make things better. Oh, I've done this, I've changed that. That would be almost the first item on the resume. Look what I did. I reorganized, I restructured, I revamped, I whatever. I'm getting too eccentric, too theatrical. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep, or maybe I'm all upset. I didn't mention in the business section of the meeting, easy speak is misbehaving. Today, I was not able to go into the meeting and delete Ria as a prepared speaker, or add a couple of people as coming, and I started pulling my hair out. I started sending frantic messages to Lily, who was our easy speak person, and I think I discovered after a message from Monica and Rena that we're having major problems, and it's not just mine. But still, it made me crazy. So, next question, and Joe, you were very brave in our last table topic session. Being a guest and not even yet a member, you said, oh, I'm up for that. I'll take a table topic. Would you like to try it again?
Yeah, sure.
Ah, I like your style. So, we hear so often nowadays about natural disasters, floods, or fires, earthquakes, whatever, terrible, terrible things. And then we have to hear about the people that basically walk away. It's just basically what's on their back. And I have a confession to make. You find out more about me today. I have a tendency to kind of, collect things and collect a lot of things. But when I think of these people having to leave their homes, at very short notice, and pack up a lifetime, maybe just in a backpack, I wonder what I would take. Joe, if you were in that situation, what would be in your backpack?
Okay, this is a great question for two reasons. Well, this is a very obviously sensitive topic, but at the same time, I'm also going through a sort of minimalist phase in my life, and I'm trying to reduce things down to what's most important, and that's making me consider this in general. But then, if you're thinking about things that you're going to have with you on the move, you're not going to go back to your flat. What can you really carry with you? What's most important? I mean, are there really any things? I mean, the main thing is that you've got support in some way, that you've got shelter that you need. I don't know how you could choose the most important things. I mean, your phone, so that you can find your way, so that you can record anything that you want to. Layers of clothing, money, bank cards. They're the first things that kind of come to mind, I think. I don't know what goes through other people's decisions making process. I don't know how they would kind of make that sort of decision. But I would definitely be interested to know and see what's inside some of those backpacks on people's backs when they make their ways.
I'm a very sentimental person, so I probably would take a photograph of somebody in the course of my life that I had loved, whether it be a parent or a boyfriend or anybody, even a toastmaster. Do you know that on EasySpeak you can look at the members in the club and see them with their faces, assuming they put up their picture in their profile? If you don't know how to do that, talk to me. Most of you have. So let's see who else is up for a question. Ordinarily, it's not typical to ask the guests, but since you do sort of have a little bit of a connection to Toastmasters, would you like to try a table topic? No obligation, no pressure.
Yeah, can I have a cheat question and just use her question? have a response to what you already
That
asked?
kind of defeats the purpose of the table topic. The table topic is that you have to get something that you don't know what it's going to be until. But I'll
Alright,
ask you
I'm
something.
willing to try.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'll try to make this a little bit easier. If there was one meal you had to eat for the rest of your life, every day, what would that meal be?
Yes. I have gone through so many meals in different cultures, and I've come to know the benefits of many. A meal is not just something that you eat when you're hungry. It has other benefits, like it could be something you enjoy with friends, something that you could fellowship over. However, over the years, I have come to learn the benefits of different meals, and I have chosen vegetables. And so, based on research, based on all that I've seen, based on what it could do to me and how it could help me, if there was one meal I had to eat for the rest of my life, I would eat vegetables.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
Vegetables.
Vegetables.
Yes.
Any particular vegetable?
I would eat leafy green vegetables if I could, and not even thinking about, the taste only, but focusing on the benefits of leafy green vegetables.
Thank you. Just a round of applause. As a guest, you don't have to take a question. But I'm sorry, I wouldn't let you steal first. I mean, we have to maintain some sort
No,
of...
that's fine. I just was being bold and unconventional.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Actually, you remind me that, I don't know if this is just a US thing, that people talk about comfort food. And comfort food, for example, is macaroni and cheese, or mashed potatoes, or things like that. Do you have that in your cultures?
Yes.
No?
Pudding.
Pudding, okay, that's interesting. One thing about being in this international group, I find out so much about the world. If I was going to an Austrian club or just an English, sort of only English, expats and whatever, I wouldn't get the benefit of all these very, very rich experiences. Actually, we still have some time, but I think we should get on with the general evaluation section. So I conclude our table topic session. You now, using the ballot here, but if you're actually green-minded, you could take the agenda and just chop off a part of the agenda and just write on its best table topic. I mean, why do we have to sacrifice the trees?
Yeah.
Because we only basically use this for the speakers and for the best table topic. I find it, really a pity. Why don't we try to be a little more green? Just take a piece of paper and write the best table topic, and please send the ballot to Pinar, who is our ballot counter today.
Can you repeat the questions in there?
Okay, I can say that. Pina talked about online, Nicole talked about first impression, and Monica, unido instructions, which made you laugh, and Toastmaster Joe, what would be in the backpack, in the emergency case, what would be in the backpack, and Adeyumi, did I get your name correct? Adeyumi talked about one meal rest of my life. What would be the one meal rest of my life?
Thank you very much for good teamwork. I wasn't keeping track. I was so impressed with the answers, not paying attention, which shows you why it's good to have somebody else who knows. And with that, I return control to our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Rita.
So 1 minute for the best everybody, best topics person. So what would be in my backpack? Definitely photo albums, one of the items.
What?
Photo albums. Yeah.
Because I have it.
Well, put them together, photo albums, and all the cards, all the paperwork, but which is which is necessary, that would be in my background. Because someone told me, someone who went through Second World War, she told me that idea, and she's 90 years old now. And I visited her yesterday, and yeah, she was talking about all sorts of things. So, because the photo albums of grandparents and parents, they get lost. So, yeah, she was a kid when it happened, and she took her albums with her. And she still has got the grandparents' photo displayed in her kitchen. So that's what I think is one of the experience. Okay. I hand over 1 minute. After 1 minute?
1 minute up.
1 minute is up.
Thank you.
Now I will hand over the stage General Evaluator Toastmaster Ines to go through the evaluation.
Toastmaster, well, we are in for special evaluations, and I would like to call on Toastmaster Monica, who did an evaluation of the speech.
No,
we-
Toastmaster
we-
Lily. Toastmaster Lily.
Apologize. Toastmaster Lily. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It's already been said, you stole my show. Tatiana, that was such an amazing icebreaker. Just to think about them, already in tears again. It was so moving. You told your story. You moved me to tears. You took me on a journey. Your question, your very valid question, who am I? You talked about Russia, about the Ukraine, about Siberia. And you brought us into your life in our own environment. Here at the United Nations, we have this opportunity to connect in such a way, which moves my heart. And you really showed how special each one of us is, your life is, this club is. You just gave so much added value. It wasn't just an icebreaker, it was a tribute to Toastmasters, to the United Nations, to everything that we can do. So the first three questions, general comments, you excelled at, you told your story, you moved me to tears, you took me on a journey. You may want to work on, keep going, do it again, tell me your stories. And to challenge yourself, come again and again and again and again. I always find the evaluations where we have to give a mark between 1 to 5 so difficult, because I don't want to give 5s. I know we can always improve, we can always get better. There's always an opportunity to grow. So the only place where I didn't give you a 4, which is the top mark that I would give, was just in the vocal variety, because I felt I was listening and I didn't hear you scream and I didn't hear you whisper. So I don't know how your vocal variety really was. I heard you clearly, I heard you tell your story, you moved me to tears, so I know it was fine. So I gave you a 3 there. In terms of your gestures, I noticed from the beginning you were using your hands, you were telling us, you were speaking to us with your body. Audience awareness, you had very good audience contact. You were aware of where you were and where you come from and what you had to give to us. Comfort level. You made yourself vulnerable and you opened yourself up from the very, very beginning and showed us that you were being vulnerable. That is such a powerful tool in public speaking. When you open yourself up, then the audience has to open up. So the last thing, interest. You told a very, very fascinating, very, very relevant story, whether eccentric or not, I just had to use that word. That's it, and you did a great job, Tatiana. Come again and again and again.
Thank you very much. Toastmasters.
to hear now from our grammarian team their report. Toastmaster Adriana.
Thanks. Madam General Evaluator, I
Can you quite?
Sure, yeah. I have quite a lot of notes, but I have to be honest. When you, Tatiana, started speaking, my listening for the grammar was gone. I was with you and I was emotionally with you. I was not looking at grammar very much just at the very end, so forgive me for that, but that also kind of shows how you grabbed my heart, and thank you for that. I'm Polish, but my grandparents are used to be Ukrainian, so I understand some of the situation, but definitely not all. So thank you for that. I shall start with the word of the day. I heard it being used quite a few times. Ines used it once, Rena twice, well done. Nicole once, I think Maria Teresa once or twice, but I might have twice. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Joe, do you have any additional ones? Because I might have missed.
No, you called more than I did.
Sorry?
No, you counted more than I did.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right, so with Tatiana, I said I kind of started listening more into grammar later in the speech. I had one losing myself with my parents. I think perhaps like losing touch with my parents, losing contact, or like not agreeing, I think could be better. I really loved we are here as human beings, so not as representatives of our nationalities. We're here as humans. That was really beautiful. I had one, I remember as a little kid goes through the forest. I think maybe perhaps would be, I remember as a little kid walking through the forest. I loved the I choose to communicate life. That was beautiful. And that was all that I got. I apologize, I didn't have more. I loved Rena's We Have to Believe in Humanity. That was beautiful. Now, I guess I got lost in my own notes. I had Nicole, you don't get a second chance to to get a first impression together with Maria Teresa. I have one very learned man. I think he could be well read or educated or just learned. I don't know if he can do very learned, but then again, I might not be certain. Maria Teresa judge a book by its cover. Beautiful. And I had one from Monica after a time I just left. Maybe after some time, but that's, yeah, and thank you so much. There was a lot of really beautiful things being wait, I have another paper. Sorry. I liked Joe's reduce my things to the most important, and Adeomi, am I pronouncing it? Mm-hmm. Adeomi, a meal is not just something that you eat. Mm-hmm. That was very nice. Thank you so much. And I looked more at the deposit. Sorry. Grammarian, oh gosh, that's a very difficult one. Can we debate and then decide together? So I spread the responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adriana, for your report. Wonderful. I would like to go now to the timekeeper for her report. Toastmaster Alna.
Thank you, Madam Master of the Day. I'm sorry. So today the times were more or less within the set time frames, which make us that we are on time with our meeting today, which is good. So for the Tatiana, thank you very much for this speech. It was amazing. Even it went a bit over for 40 seconds. I think no one would complain about this, even if it went. So your time was 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's only 10 seconds over.
It's 40 seconds over. On my agenda it says 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah, and then you've got 30 seconds lead time, and then you would be disqualified at 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
in a competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Anyhow, total time 6 minutes 40 seconds. Pinar in table topics now. So Pinar 1 minute 42 seconds. Nicole 2 minutes 20 seconds. Monica 1 minute 33 seconds. Joe 1 minute 25 seconds. When I managed to catch your attention. And Adeumi, I hope I pronounce it correctly, 1 minute 13 seconds. And Lily as evaluator, 3 minutes 17 seconds. And it was 2 to 3 minutes, so if it's within these 30 seconds, then this concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for great timekeeping. Our next report comes from Toastmaster Pinar, which is the
This is me,
I'm Monica. You're the Toastmaster Monica.
Don't worry. This is my report, my short report. I have to admit as well as you, Adriana. Actually, when you started to speak, I kind of lost touch of everything, disconnected.
You all had a blackout.
Exactly. Yes, somehow, I don't know. I transported myself into your situation and forgot about the rest. So I only continued then afterwards when we started with the evaluation, and this is where I counted most of the ums and gaps fillers. Adriana 3 times at the end. Pinar 3 times. Rina once, and that's it. Thank you.
You're not going to get very rich, are you?
I didn't bring my wallet. How that's been.
There's a piggyback, so can we make a round with that for those who need to give the contributions for the A's, the O, and the next time. And that concludes
The
our
mayor-
evaluation session.
They decided
The ballot counter, I
did
would
the
like
rest of the
to,
amendments.
I would ask Maria Teresa at the end to
Announce.
announce it, okay? At the end. This is now the end of the general evaluation session.
We have
Oh,
decided on the grammarian.
Right.
Maria Teresa has not had a speech today, nor the table topic, but her comments and the use of language throughout was excellent, and so we decided to give it to Maria.
I mean, I think it goosebumps and cry. We can do both.
Thank you very much. Looking at the clock, we could finish on time. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. We had a full meeting, even though we had one speech less as planned. And what you see, we had order voting in one way or the other. And that is especially for the benefit of our guests. We really try as much as possible to be active in the meetings and give your input, do your preparations, etc. And what we have seen, of course, we had some issues with the preparations of this meeting. However, we really see things fall in place, we are together, and there is some kind of a synergy which I really like. In Toastmasters, we are just trying to really look at each other, communicate in a way that is respectful, which is supportive, which is really also very conducive for our own projects, which we are having in Toastmasters, in Pathways, which also for the projects we will be putting together. I would like to really say to Tatiana, thank you. You have opened up a Pandora's box. I know this is not a word, this is a concept last time issues, which we all go through, whether it's, in your history, in your personal history issues, but certainly also we all have our Pandora's boxes, which we have to open from time to time, and tears are flowing, and tears will be also drying up. At one point in time, we also understand, we will be understanding with our heart, our mind, and our emotions, where we fit in, and that's fantastic. Thank you, Tatiana, for opening up something in us, and it's the first time that we had such an evaluation, which was so emotional, from Toastmaster Lily. But I was thinking, what is happening here? Isn't it amazing? Fantastic. Congratulations. We went through it, and it all put in some seeds in our minds and our hearts to figure out, hey, who are we actually? Maybe we should keep on doing our icebreakers, including myself. I have to do also mine. That is what my report is as an evaluator. I see that we had a table topic session. Thank you, Maria Teresa, for jumping in at the last minute. And we did well. Congratulations for having a meeting which will be also a historical one. Thank you. And I have control of the meeting. Thank you, Toastmaster Rita and Toastmaster Dave.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ines, my moderator. Well, my job is to just close, before I hand over the meeting to the presiding officer. Let me thank you for your coming. We are just ladies club here. There is practically no gender equality which we should work towards. I mean, I enjoy men's company, let me be honest with you. But no man here, but it's not right. No. Take the leaflets, what is on the table if you want, for distribution, give to someone, magnets, whatever, please take it with you. And yeah, what else? See you in the computer in 2 weeks' time? Zoom? 26th of July? It's something I do not like very much, I do not like. Next week I have a hybrid meeting, and I think of it, even now I have a headache. So, with this headache, I hand over the floor to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Maria Teresa.
Thank you, Rina. Fellow Toastmasters, what an exceptional meeting. I could have sat there and cried too. I just got goosebumps. What do you say after something like that? Except Toastmaster Tatiana, I'm going to throw down a challenge. I want you to work on this speech, and I want you to present it next year in the International Speech Contest. You're not supposed to be political on Toastmasters, but as you weren't sort of favoring one side or the other, and we're talking about your life, I think it could be very promising. Think about it. Think about it. Other than that, it is my time to ask our ballot counter for the results of the best table topic speaker.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Today it was very enjoying. We have a very enjoying table topic session. So the winner is Nicole.
So Nicole, will you come to the front of the room and give me a ribbon as the best table topic speaker? Congratulations. I don't know, will you put this on?
You've got such a heart.
Sorry. Will you?
Scoring already.
Okay, sorry about that. Will you put that? Thank you. Good job.
Because I have a ring.
Would that go in your backpack, Nicole? Probably not. In any event, what else do I have to tell you? I have to ask you. Now, Joe, you were here once before, online. So what were your impressions of the meeting today? Of course, the dynamic is totally different when we can see each other and press each other's hands firmly. And so, what did you think of the meeting today?
I I definitely, I enjoyed it a lot more.
I'm sorry?
I enjoyed it a lot more, being able to, see everyone here and pick up on everyone's ability as well. It's really, really nice. But that said, I also think it is important to have the online meetings because so much is conducted online now, and it's another way to, if you're talking about presenting, it's another way to hone that skill. So I think it is still important to have that element as well. But certainly in person is, it helps to sort of build the group dynamics, and it's been really nice to come to this one.
Thank you very much. I actually am of the same opinion. I kind of like this 50-50 approach. And I've had several people tell me, don't completely get rid of the Zoom meetings because we do find it useful to improve our skills for work. So, the lovely lady from Nigeria, what were your impressions of this Toastmaster meeting?
So again, who am I? Originally from Nigeria. I'm a naturalized US citizen. I've lived in the US for 25 years. Talking about the meeting, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I was taken on a journey of introspection myself, and I just find it's a very supportive environment. And then just a bit of word about the men. I believe they may not everybody may feel comfortable learning in the presence of others, and that may be an issue as well. But having said that, I think just promoting the fact that we're here to support each other is something that would make one believe it's a safe environment to improve. So those are my impressions.
Well, thank you. We hope to see you. If you sign the guest book, I will record your attendance, assuming Easy Speak likes me again. It didn't like me this morning, and I'm pulling my hair out. You will receive an invitation to our online meeting on the 26th of July. The other thing, let me just mention also about Easy Speak. I would love, and there are a couple of you in the room who already do it, I would love to see everybody using Easy Speak a little bit more conscientiously, because if we're running into problems towards the end as we're approaching a Toastmaster meeting, and we want to know who we could fall back on, who's coming, who's not going to be available. And again, I think we have a higher quality meeting if we kind of work some of these things out in advance. Other than that, yes, Nicole?
You didn't say that we were this year Distinguished Club.
Well, I'm actually a little bit embarrassed about that because I think we could have done better. You're right. Correct.
Oh, it's not bad, right, to be Distinguished Club. We could have, gone without any medal.
Well, actually, there are 3 different levels. There's Distinguished, help me, Lily, Select Distinguished, and President's Distinguished. And in order, we had people from Innsbruck that already were Select Distinguished.
Yes, no, but I tell you that my point was that we reached the first level.
No, it's not the first level, it is a level.
Distinguished, but next year we might go a bit higher. What I wanted to say is that there are many ways of going further, and for the ones among you who are beginning, one way is to give speeches in order to progress in pathways. There's another thing is to bring somebody to the club, because then we get recognized for that. And see if you know somebody you want to bring. And there are many ways to make the club grow. And this is something that I hope you will do.
I'm sorry I was so dismissive at the beginning. I mean, I always want to aim as high as possible. And only thanks to you, Nicole, it is to your credit that we were able to manage this Distinguished, because this fine Toastmaster managed to do level 5 in pathways.
Yeah. That's not the reason why I mentioned it. I mentioned it because I think that now quite a lot of you have started in pathways, are progressing in pathways, and if we all do that, well, I'm going to stop this year. That's it. I've done my lot. But if we all progress in pathways, we'll get that select distinguished.
Exactly. And I'm, by the way, I mean, not that I'm ever remiss with my duties as Vice President for Education, but I'm going to be looking at an eagle eye. And anybody who has not enrolled in pathways, you're going to be hearing from me very soon, very often. And those of you who are somehow, so langsam, more icebreakers was work. I mean, we should have had Aishan here today. He would have been our token male. But because of work commitments, he could not come today. You know? But try. Again, I always think you have to aim as high as possible. And Tatiana, you exceeded any expectation I could have ever possibly had. That was not, for me, an icebreaker speech. And with that, I adjourn the meeting.
We also have a program, so